Indiana Fever pull off a big win in Seattle. Yes, a big win. I get it. Seattle's won like 6 games, but as is evident by the last time they played them, and people got all up in arms about, "Oh, Caitlin scored 45 against the worst team in the league." And then the very next game, that worst team in the league took the number 1 team in the league by record, the Minnesota Lynx, into overtime. As I've said many times, there is not a whole lot of difference between top and bottom in this league. Every win is a good win. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you are having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Do me a quick favor, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill by now. So, great start. Once again, this seems to be a pattern with the Indiana Fever. It's almost like Caitlin plays free, Stephanie White reins her in, everything falls apart, and then the Fever can't get back on track. 37 points in the first quarter, 37-20 at the end of the first quarter, and then they scored 37 points combined in the second and third quarter as Seattle closed the lead. Man, Caitlin played 30. I wanted to make sure I had the minutes right. 33 minutes. That is the first time she's had a 30-minute plus game since June 20th, which is absolutely insane. Gotta mention Sophie Cunningham. This is so important. Fantastic start. Nailed 3 for 3 from 3 in the first quarter to help the team get off to that fantastic start. Instant offense off of the bench. Of course, that brings into the next thing, which just it was made louder last night. Let me put it that way, with Lexi Hull playing 17 minutes, scoring a total of 0 points in that game. Lexi Hull was 0 for 4, 0 for 2 from 3, grabbed 3 rebounds, did not have an assist, did not have a steal, did not have a block. Lexi Hull, man, I hate to say it, but she just has not been good this year. She signed that contract and she forgot how to play basketball. Now, I will say one thing, to be fair to Lexi Hull, is it was Caitlin Clark in 2024 who revived her career, and Lexi Hull, just like a lot of other players, much, much more effective when Caitlin Clark is playing her up-tempo read and react, which we only see here and there in spurts. I don't understand, I will say. No, I shouldn't say I don't understand, but is it more like it's kind of wild. They do it just enough that the Fever are scoring a ton of points, even though their offense really doesn't look that great, which we'll get to. We'll get to in a minute. Caitlin won this game. Kelsey Mitchell made sure of it. And what I mean by that is Caitlin Clark carried this team despite getting outscored in the third by the Seattle Storm. If it were not for Caitlin Clark, I don't think the Indiana Fever win this game. They had only 18 points. I want to make sure I have this right. 18 points in the third. And I want to see, what was it? They got outscored 25-18 in the third after being outscored 27-21 in the second. Of those 18 points, Caitlin Clark had 16 of those 18 points, folks, in that third quarter. She carried this team. The Seattle Storm probably win this game without that third quarter. And then Kelsey Mitchell followed it up with 18 points in the fourth quarter, and then Caitlin Clark adding a big bucket in there as well. 33 minutes, 32 points for Caitlin Clark. I want to see if I have the number here. She was 9 of 14, effective again, 4 of 7 from 3, 10 of 10 from the line. She actually got to the line and dished out 7 assists, which, of course, we know should have been more, as is always the case with the Indiana Fever. By the way, 9th time in her career, Caitlin Clark has had 30 points and 5 assists. The Indiana Fever franchise as a whole has done it 8 times. Now, I want to get back to the scoring because I kind of started to get into it, but I wanted to mention some other things. I know this part sounds crazy, man. I get it because they're scoring a lot of points. Fourth straight game with 100 points. Keep that in mind when we circle back to Caitlin Clark's performance. But despite that, they really have a very, very poor half court offense. How about let me put it that way? When they do run, that's when they can pile up points and get easy buckets. But in the half court, this team does not look good. Thankfully, they have the best backcourt in the WNBA, but unfortunately, they're relying on it way too much. Both Caitlin and Kelsey, more Caitlin because she's paid attention to more and she's obviously the playmaker of the two. So she relieves some pressure from Kelsey and is able to hit Kelsey with some passes where Kelsey gets some easier looks here and there. But both of them, Caitlin and to a lesser degree Kelsey, have to work way, way, way too hard to get shots in this offense. I just they stand around the entire team. They stand around. There are no screens. There are no solid screens. There's no movement off the ball. Remember Kelsey Mitchell and all those backdoor cuts in the post Olympic 2024 and all those passes she would get from Caitlin Clark? Practically non existent. Nothing, literally nothing is run to get Caitlin Clark an open shot, whether it's her starting with the ball or her being off the ball. They simply do not run. Stephanie White doesn't run a damn set play in this offense. It is ridiculous. It is, okay, Caitlin, okay, Kelsey, let's see what you can create for us. And then they have to work extremely hard just to get not even a great look, a high degree of difficulty. It's actually impressive that Caitlin shoots as well as she does percentage wise when you look at the factor in degree of difficulty with her shots, right? Like if this was gymnastics or figure skating, diving, and you factored in degree of difficulty, Caitlin Clark, with the bonuses factored in, she'd probably be averaging like 50 points a game. Absolutely wild. I think I saw one solid screen set for her all game, which was Michaela Timpson, and it got Caitlin an open look for a three. It ain't hard, folks, but Stephanie White refuses to play to Caitlin Clark's strengths. It is insane. By the way, shout out Mo Billings, who was very, very solid. 14 points on 6 shots and 11 rebounds. She has had a rough go of it, but I feel like she's been playing much better as of late, getting a little more comfortable, still missing too many layups. But hey, who in the WNBA doesn't? We got to talk about Aaliyah Boston. When I am recording this, you probably will see it a little later because I got things to do, but recording this early, early, early in the wee hours. Aaliyah Boston, I don't know the extent of her injury. My guess, and sometimes things that look innocuous can be much bigger, but so she could have fallen with enough gravity that she did some damage, but more likely in looking at it, right on the kneecap, on the hardwood. That hurts like hell, folks, if you have ever done it. And that can be the most painful thing for a short period of time that you think something much more serious is wrong. She did come back to the bench. I saw her up and about. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it ends up my initial reaction ends up being right like that. Oh, she fell right straight on the kneecap. Hurts like a son of a bitch, but no serious injury, just painful for a while. So fingers crossed that that is true. She was playing very well. I think she had 11 points in 11 minutes, grabbed some boards as well. So I just I just got to point out there was a terrible call by the official. Caitlin Clark's bringing up the ball, and I think it was Flojo who kicked at the dribble, and so it bounced right off of her foot and out of bounds. And the official, who's literally standing right there, gives the ball to Seattle. And Caitlin goes right by. She's like, "You got to review it, got to review it." Twirling the finger, walks right by Stephanie White, and man, the guy's name escapes me now, but goes right to the guy, I guess, who has the iPad or whatever that looks at it. Is make this. She's like, "Yeah, yeah, come on now." And they did challenge it, and of course won the challenge because Caitlin knew. I mean, Caitlin knows if it touched her, right? I mean, she's there. Uh, I already mentioned Sophie. I had a note to mention that because that was a monster first quarter. Came out absolutely huge. But here's the issue I have going forward that we saw with this game, which is say the good, the bad, and the ugly. Again, 105 points. They won. Saw some nice plays. Obviously, they played up tempo at times. I also, to be fair, I think the scoring in the league is up because while there are still some head scratching stuff, and there seems like there always will be in terms of calls and what's let go, in general, there is more freedom of movement in the league, which obviously helps offenses. By the way, I'd also like to point out for Mo Billings, though, the absurdity of where we've gotten in this league is that closeout she had on the three, and then they actually reviewed for upgrading it to a flagrant. It should not have even been a foul on Mo Billings. I'm sorry, I don't have a video of it. I was looking for it, but it was completely unnatural movement by Heidemann, the shooter. She takes her shot and then kicks out her one leg like 3 feet in front of her, and Mo Billings came down on her foot. If you're going to call anything in that situation, it would be an offensive foul, not a defensive foul, because that is and just like Kelsey Mitchell on her drive to the basket when they said when she brought up her arm to shoot and catches the player, I think under the chin. I mean, Kelsey's movement was actually pretty natural, but you call that in the offensive player. Here is something that clearly there would be no contact whatsoever if the offensive player wasn't with this unnatural movement to try and get that call. They got to clean that stuff up. And I'm thinking, man, if Caitlin Clark were getting these landing space calls I saw last night, oh my lord, she'd be shooting 25 free throws a game. It's crazy. But anyway, issue going forward to obviously a very inconsistent offense because when they are in the half court, it's just rely on Caitlin and Kelsey. And if the WNBA is going to follow patterns of professional sports leagues, right? NBA does it. It happens more in hockey and happens in football, right? Things get a little more physical. Refs get let a little more go. That's going to make it that much more difficult for that Indiana Fever half court offense to function when it's just here, Kelsey, here, Caitlin, take the ball, now go do something. We're going to stand around and watch. We're not going to set picks for you. Just see if you can create a shot. That is just not a long-term formula for success on your way to a championship. That is crazy. Now, I jotted down a few numbers here that I wanted to talk about just to give you an idea of what's going on. The last 4 games, all 100-point plus for the Indiana Fever, right? Franchise record. All wins. Caitlin Clark is 33 for 59, folks, in these last 4 games. That is 56%. Okay? She's shooting lights out. And again, degree of difficulty factored in makes it more amazing. 17 of 34 from 3-point range, folks. Caitlin Clark is 17 of 34 from 3-point range. And by the way, right, that she's going back, that's more like her rookie year. Actually, even more so, where she's shooting more threes than she is twos by a significant number, right? That is what, 34 threes to 25 twos, and she's 17 of 34 from three. That is absolutely wild. Now, she's not taking enough shots. 15 shots a game is not enough for Caitlin Clark. That's over 8 threes a game, too. So it's not like, oh, she's shooting 1 or 2 threes a game and hitting some, so her percentage looks great. 34 threes in the last 4 games, 17 of 34, 121 points, 34 assists. That is an average of 30.3 points per game and 8.5 assists per game. That would lead the league in both categories. Like I said in my previous video, that sadly no one watched because I guess it didn't have a dramatic title that I dropped yesterday. Caitlin Clark, now she won't, I don't think she will get it because of everything else, but she is it. And that is end of the season. She is MVP of the WNBA, plain and simple. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. I will talk to you later.